I'm not audible. Yeah.
It's on me. I'm better, I guess. My voice is also better, is it? Yeah. So soon I regain my voice and I'll get back to my normal mode as we are taking the classes. Okay. Today I have a very interesting topic, and most of you actually know about what I'm going to discuss today, and it's about right equality. Okay, so when you talk about this right, what is right is very, very important. So we will actually talk about first only the very definitional part of the right in order to have a clear idea and conception of the right. What is right? What is your understanding of right? And then we also have a concept called human rights, right? And how human rights are different from fundamental rights, which are enshrined in the Constitution. Okay? Some theoretical perspective related to right. Then we also move to discuss the concept equality, which is very, very important, and the concept freedom, which is again very, very important. It is important when we discuss about representational part of democracy and representation itself. So one of my student Abhishek has already started with representation politics. So in understanding representation politics, it is very, very important to understand right. Now when I say right, what is right is very, very important. So you have an idea about right. So right, you know that these are some of these entertainments but not privilege, right? There is a right, these are some of the entertainments which are granted to all. These are universal in nature, but these are not certain privileges which can be claimed by individual. But entertainment which can be claimed by individual. Okay. So when I say entertainment based on which a person can seek his based or can also prove his worth. Right? So when we talk about the rights, these are some of the entitlements which are universal to all and based on which and on the basis of which entitlement on the basis of which a person can uh, see, these bits are right. Rights and privileges are different in that way. How it is different? Because privileges are enumerated during this medieval period, like ancient period. We talked about privileges. So these are some of the entitlement which is specifically conferred to one section of people, okay, or a group of people. So rights are different from privileges. And rights, if you look at the definitional part of this rights, it also has some characteristics which will actually incorporate the very definition. So you will see that rights are highly social, rights are dynamic, rights are dynamic, rights are social because it emanates from the society. One right emanates from the society, all rights emanate from the society. And rights are not meant to be against the society. Rights are for the social welfare, rights derived from some of the customs, some of the rituals from the society. And rights are some of the rights are also derived from the long uses in past and come into work after long uses in the history, so which are also named as historical rights. And also many a time it is also claimed that rights are naturally existed. So when we say right, it is a naturally existed, but this is a claim which are being made by a few political theorists, like Hobbes. You might have heard about Hobbes in his literature. He actually discussed about natural rights. So rights are some of the claims which are existed in the society naturally. Okay, so naturally existed, but these are not sanctioned by the state. But when we have a legal concept of right, we also have a legal understanding of the right. Legal understanding will always focus on the state granted right. So ability of the state to grant the right, ability of the state to maintain the right, ability of the state to protect the right, and state can also arbitrarily those rights. Okay, so that is a legal version, legal perspective of the right. So everything comes under the definitional part of the right. Because simply ask the right, the definition of the right. Definition may also incorporate all the perspectives. So rights are certain things, right? Rights are highly individual in the nature because it is related to development of personality and worth of individual. Through which he can actually prove his based, he can see his based. Okay? So through which he can actually gain a pattern of life. He can think that I'm living life. Okay? So he can set some standard of life. We talk about right to work, we talk about right to fair wages, right? Right to have minimum hours of work, right? So these are economic rights, which are also important. Again, we can have some division of rights, which will also be part of again definition. We say examining the rights, the phenomenon of rights, or definition of the rights. Rights are also classified: positive, negative rights, economic rights, political rights. Okay, so when we talk about economic rights, which will always give us a better standard of living. Okay. Again, political rights are very, very important. Civil rights are very, very important. Now, how can you distinguish civil rights from political rights, distinguish economic rights from political rights? And we have another conception or another concept that is called human rights, right? So human rights is there in the state of nature, but at the same time, these are the rights which are claimed by human being, not necessarily you say granted by any kind of legislation or granted by any kind of state. These are the rights which can be claimed by the human being. Okay, by virtue of being a human being. Okay, so but these, it's not necessarily that human rights are alive. Human rights are resting or alive in the state of nature. Okay, when you talk about the state of nature perspective to right, as I have already told you, there is certain perspective. I'll be writing down because that will also be said. Someone has said, if I ever use it is better for you. When you talk about the state of natural right perspective, rights lie in the state of right, that is another perspective. It's said that rights lies in the state of nature. So everybody can claim their right. So everybody is equal. But you see, so apparently also, this is quite apparent for us that we all are not equal, right? We are not equal. We are not equal in our capacities. We are not equal like, in terms of our abilities, our intellectual capabilities. Okay, so we are different. But your right is also, you see, somehow related to equality. When you talk about the right, right is related, not somehow, is related to equality. And when you talk about the fundamental rights, these are the legal rights which are guaranteed by the Constitution. Okay, so when we discuss those very perspective of the right, after the very definition and the very basic features and characteristics of the right, rights individual in nature, social in nature, very dynamic, okay? And even state cannot abrogate those rights. These are dynamic in the sense that rights are not static in one society. One rights uh, can emanate or stem from one, arise from one society, and it might also get a different expression in another society. And hence, rights are morality based. So these are also called moral rights. Rights are morality based, these are custom based. In tribal society, you also see rights are custom based. Right. So in that way, we actually see that is another perspective. Even moral rights are also there. Another perspective to look at the rights, and which is quite equivalent to historical perspective. But you see, all these perspectives have also a taboo for in between. We talk about the natural rights, which have been rejected by the legal rights, legal conception of the rights. Legal conception sentence stated is the one who legislated certain rights, elected certain rights, abrogated certain rights, state has the right. So accordingly, we talk about fundamental rights which are created by the state because we have a law of the land. Law of the land means constitution, right? So constitution is the law of the land, so constitution will decide which right you can enjoy and which right can also be suspended in times of emergency. Okay, accordingly, you also see there are some of the you see characteristics which will define the fundamental rights. Fundamental rights are the law of the land at the same time. Okay, very, very important because these rights are fundamental because these rights cannot be taken away by the state by simple provision. During emergency, it can be taken away, but state actually cannot take away the fundamental rights, even if state or another individual think to take away the individual has every right to court, right? So these are justiciable in that way and enforceable. These rights are enforceable by the state. These rights are also justiciable by the state. Okay? At the same time, these rights are binding upon each and every individual living or in society. Hence, it is fundamental. Why it is fundamental right? Because this is binding upon us, each and every individual living in Indian territory will talk about those rights, will enjoy those rights freely, okay, and equally. So these rights are fundamental rights. Okay, state cannot even think to abrogate by simple procedure. There is also complex procedure. At times of emergency, that right can be rights can be suspended. Now you also see that when you talk about the characteristics of the rights, so you see the fundamental rights and like human rights are two different things because human rights are very, very broad. All rights are individual by nature, all rights are social by nature, all rights are dynamic by nature. Okay? But when you talk about the fundamental rights, these are very, very comprehensive. Okay? These are enforceable by the state, that is another characteristic. And these can also be suspended when there is an emergency, right? And this right at the same time will actually promote the social welfare. So, somehow to certain extent, it will fit into the legal rights perspective and social welfare perspective of the right. So, right, to understand right in a certain perspective, one is natural right perspective, that individual is like, uh, is in a position that naturally claims certain rights. So, rights exist in a state of nature, so everybody can enjoy the right. Okay? So many theories will not support it. Another theory is that the legal theory of rights will say another theory, that is another conception. We say that state is one and all. State will decide the rights. So state can grant rights, take away the right. So fundamental rights somehow cross itself into that legal varieties of the rights. And another variety that is called the social welfare conception of the right. Rights are meant to ensure social welfare, meant to ensure social well-being. Okay, so uh, these are important conception, okay, like conceptualization of the right, and when you say these concepts are very, very important. When you talk about the historical concept, it is also not involved. So many people said that rights, actually some rights come to exist after long ages, and becomes a right. But at the same time, rights are dynamic, these are not fixed. State can enact some laws and also create some rights, can also enact some laws, can change those rights at the same time. So rights itself are dynamic. It differs from society to society. So that historical theory of right is also not that, somehow. Sorry?
Fundamental rights can be dynamic.
Fundamental rights can be
Dynamic.
yeah. Fundamental rights are when you talk about the rights, rights are see these are fundamental rights are enumerated. Okay. And rights are dynamic. Fundamental rights are also dynamic in that way. Okay, but it is not like that if one legislation will change one fundamental rights and tomorrow another legislation will come. Dynamic in the sense that it can be enjoyed by each and every individual. Okay, to a certain extent, reasonable restriction and limitation are also caused that is based on the social well-being of the citizen. Okay, but the dynamic nature of the rights cannot be simply erased. Okay, rights are also dynamic because you see, one right is the right to equality. Right to equality actually ensures so many privileges and ensures so many, you see, entitlement to you. I'm coming to you. I'll discuss about right to equality because when you talk about this equality, equality is something which is very complex concept to discuss because many political theorists has also looked at equality from different angles. So if you look at equality, many people say that it is about equality of treatment. He said equality of status. Then he said equality of income. But what dynamics we are actually looking at is very, very important. When we are talking about equality, okay, so even when we are talking about in India always talk about the egalitarian society, talk about equal information flow. So Nyoko is there, equal information flow we have been talking about, right? So basically we want to establish equality everywhere. Equality of status, equality of information, equality of income, equality of opportunity, equality before law, equal protection of everyone. So you see, when you talk about that, actually shows the dynamic nature of right to equality. Okay, you see. So when you say dynamic not like necessarily define the changeability of the right. But yeah, rights can also change so in certain circumstances in relation to political order, social order, also privilege and fate as well as entitlement of one particular community. Suppose there are some reasonable restrictions which are always being imposed on fundamental rights, right? And that is for the betterment of the society. And those reasonable restrictions all of on the basis of sovereignty, on the basis of integrity of the nation, friendly relation with the foreign countries, right? On the basis of even security of the country, on the basis of public order, public interest, social order, right? So these are some of the points or pointer on the basis of which we can impose reasonable restriction or limitations on the right. So when you say reasonable restriction is very, very important. So in order to even restrict the rights. Okay. So, but this will never abrogate or erase the dynamic, very dynamic nature of this right. Okay, so when we say we have freedom to form an assembly, we have freedom to move across the country. At the same time, reasonable restriction can also be imposed on the basis of maintaining the sanctity of one particular tribe of one area. So reasonable restriction can be imposed on your movement, my movement, considering the sanctity of one particular tribe and their nature, their character. Okay. At the same time, reasonable restriction can also be imposed on the basis of even public order. Right. So that will not necessarily take away the dynamic nature of the right. Okay. So when we talk about the fundamental rights, these are basically legal rights, you see, because these are enshrined by the constitution, right? In that way we can understand. That's very, very important. This conception of right is really, really important, right? So these are very important part of an integral part of constitution. So rights, fundamental rights are integral part of constitution. Fundamental rights are also very dynamic. These are very comprehensive. Reasonable restriction can also be imposed on fundamental rights. In that way, fundamental rights are limited to a certain extent, you might say, but not necessarily they dynamic. Okay? And fundamental rights are enforceable like the court of law. Okay, so these are some of the characteristics of fundamental rights. So these are if not different, these are also similar when you talk about the human rights. Human rights, some only three basic characteristics. So by virtue of being a human being, I claim those rights. Okay, dynamic nature, social nature, as well as individual nature. Okay, so when we talk about the now you see when you say the first important fundamental right, equality, right? Equality. How do you define equality is very, very important because again it has been a very big issue. We try to relate it with the reservation. And India is a multi-ethnic country, multi-language country, multi-religious country. So reservation is also one like parameter to establish an egalitarian society. Okay, so equality has been perceived by different political theories differently. Okay, for Lasky said that people cannot be each and every person cannot be treated equally. He has a different kind of definition altogether. He said that a man or a professor cannot be treated equally according to him. That law said that each and every individual can be treated equally. Again, lastly said that talent cannot be praised even if one person is not encouraged. So it will always be there. So that is also based on his theory of equality. So he has a different perspective on equality. Lasky has a different perspective on equality. So when we talk about this right to equality in our yeah, Indian Constitution, so it is very very important to understand that right to equality is basically understand equality before law and equal protection of law. Now these are two concepts basically. Equality before law and equal protection of law. Equality before law is a bit negative and equal protection of law is positive. Okay. So these concepts are very, very important to understand as part of political delineation. And listen until you won't understand, make sure you won't understand the delineation part. Okay? So because it is all about politics. Okay. So when you talk about we call this uh, equality before law, that actually derived, that concept derived its origin from English common law, sorry, English common law, and equal protection of law derived its origin from US Constitution, the American Constitution. So equal protection, we grant protection to each and everyone. Okay, equal protection to each and everyone, create a condition that everyone can be equal. Everyone can be equal. Okay, state will give equal protection to everyone. Equality before law is somehow equivalent to rule of law concept. That is, state equality before law to establish equality before law to establish everyone is equal before uh, everyone is in equal footing before the state. State also need to take some step in order to establish equality. So state can prohibit discrimination based on caste, class, race, place of birth, and origin and residence. So this is what is enumerated in the Constitution, that in order to establish equality before law, state will prohibit discrimination on the basis of caste, class, place of birth and residence, creed, etc. So you see, state will prohibit discrimination itself is negative in nature. Will prohibit discrimination and equal protection to everyone in order to provide protection, equal protection to everyone, state will create certain condition that everyone can be equal. Okay, so it is positive sign of equality. So equality can be negative at the same time, and equality can also be positive. Okay, like we also have negative and positive, right? So we discuss about it. But we also say equality can be negative, equality can be positive. So basically, we have four kinds of equality.
Like, is when we are studying rights, so if we are we studying this on a grade basis or we have to go to every intrinsic legal like you are saying positive negative right? So do we have
Someone
to,
is actually asking from exam point of view. That's
no,
how
like
to
do we
write.
have to go back to UTHR and study like ICCPR, ICSPR on that basis or just on
So
the
no,
Indian
listen. I will discuss about this international women and civil and political rights, but not in today's class because if you are interested, I will discuss about it.
No, that's what I am asking. Like, will
There are some
going
women, yeah.
will going into that, but we
No,
will
no,
require.
no. Listen, I am actually discussing about fundamental rights today. Okay. So, but before we have an understanding of fundamental rights, it is quite important to understand right itself, right? So, hence I have discussed briefly about what is right. But that is also very important part if you want me to discuss because I have also some recorded videos that I can share with you. But apart from that, I can discuss about some of the international covenants. There are two international covenants on civil and political rights. Another one is international covenant on economic and social rights. And these covenants um, are basically meant to enumerate some of the rights which can be claimed as human rights. and more than 26 rights, 27 rights are there. So we cannot discuss each and every right. We can simply mention about this covenant, the role of the covenant, okay? So how it is implemented, how far it is implemented, that we can say. Because we cannot discuss each and every right, we can discuss a few rights, like you say. Fundamental, on a part of fundamental rights also, there are some overlapping. Okay, so we talked about right against exploitations. So your right against bonded labor, okay, then like women rights, child rights are everything will come and fall into. So rights are overlapping in that way. So here when you say right against exploitation, again it's that women have right to emancipation. That is again right to equality. Women have every right to claim emancipation. Okay, special privileges being given to women and child or children in order to emancipate themselves or in order to empower themselves is again right to equality. Okay, have you seen this overlapping nature of right? Huh. So special privilege. When you say special privilege, equality, concept of equality will come, right? So we talked about these titles, we talked about decorations. There are some decorations, there are four decorations which are there. Like we have decorations like Padma Bhushan, Padma Vibhushan, Padma Shri, as well as Bharat Ratna. These are four decorations that we have. So now Asarya Kripalani and many of politicians initially, yes, we have actually contributed a lot in this constitution. They were against the declarations, against any kind of title. So, abolition of title is another way to establish equality. Okay, abolition of title, abolition of special privileges for one particular class is a way to establish equality. And this meeting is very, very difficult to understand equality. Okay, while we talk about abolition of titles, abolition of special privileges for one particular section, at the same time we are also talking about reservation. We talk about protected discrimination or reverse discrimination in order to establish equality. So things are not that easy and very clear. So we have one concept we have picked up and without even critically examining it, we jump to other. But when you talk about those two covenants, you don't have to enumerate each and every line of the covenant because there is no point. We know it is already there, but it is important to understand the concept of right, how it is used. Or we may like find out the story based on equality. Okay? So I will also discuss about how to illustrate about the right to story. There are some indicators, okay, some principles we need to follow. So it's very, very important. So when you talk about the equality now, it's very, very important. Equality, the right to equality. Right to equality is the very first fundamental right. So it is all about equality before law, the protection of law, abolition of special privileges and titles, and abolition of untaxability. Basically, we see that Article 15 to Article 18, right? So mention about right to equality. So here we talk about equal protection of the law means state will create special provision and the conditions to establish equality in society, positive equality. And equality before law, state will also defrain someone to even refrain one privileged class to monopolize, to establish monopoly over the resources, or to monopolize the existing resources. Okay. So that is another related conception of this equality. So when we talk about absence of special privilege in a title, it is the term already created some of this title and a class of nobility on the basis of political support that will be given to the right issues. So after independence, there were also discussion that this class of nobility has to be uh, eroded. But at the same time, on the basis of military distinction and academic distinctions at certain title, will also be given. So that non-recognition of title has an exception on the basis of military distinction and academic distinction. So, but otherwise, absence of special privilege is there, but on the basis of military distinction and academic distinction, certain titles can and that is another an exception to the clause that privileges, special privileges are in applicable. So when you talk about this equality, again, equality, we talk about this formal equality, right? So formal equality is already mentioned in the constitution, like on the basis of equality before law, equal protection of law, and also there are different conditions in terms of reservation. Again, this is an issue of equality. We talk about reservation. There are many people may speak in favor of reservation, speak against reservation. And when you talk about reservation, there's always a heated discussion among the students, not only in this class and in other bodies and this, universities also. And many times people take it very personally when you talk about the reservation without even understanding the nuances of reservation. So reservation is a term which is very, very important important in this country. A country important in a country which is which is plural, which is multicultural in nature. So it is important at the same time. But on what basis you are granting reservation is important. Okay, class basis. Class basis, how you identify that class that it is backward, how you are identifying that caste that it is backward. Okay, after so many years of independence, have we actually seen welfare or the upliftment of one section of people? So this is very, very important questions. Why there is a social apathy or maybe people apathy for education among one particular class? That is again a part of the education. So there are so many issues come up. So many issues may arise or come up when we discuss about reservation. So it's not that easy that we are you are for the reservation or against the reservation. There are different points for reservation and against reservation. Now we talk about economic point of reservation. Right. So reservation is actually based on the class, but again it is also based on caste. It might be based on class. It might be based on minority also. It might be based on the minority linguistic basis. Reservation is there. Reservation is there, and reservation has to be there in order to establish equality, in order to uh, have a claim, an equal claim in the limited job, limited resources, and also we see limited educational facility, and that's the big reservation. So, here when you talk about Indian reservation, we see that there are different kinds of reservation. One is PC, one is protected and reverse discrimination, which is actually the reservation. Another is affirmative action. We will also consider it a kind of reservation. Affirmative action which is actually taken in order to make you see the formal equality to a real equality or perceived equality. So you see equality is already there and it is right to equality has been enumerated in the constitution. It has been mentioned in the constitution in a formal sense. It is a formal equality. It is already mentioned in the constitution. But whether we have perceived it really or not, constitution is there. Whatever is designed in the constitution, written in the constitution, are meant to be implemented. How it is implemented? That is one thing. So we talked about reservation. So many reservation has also been implemented. 1980s Federal Commission support put up their report. After 10 years, it was implemented. Again, we also see that state expenditure like for scholarship to ST students or even till the third 5 year and fourth 5 year 9.1% or even 0.116% like that way. So if we look at this implementation of the policies, again we see that there is a doubt and Latina because of which again we have a claim of a right to equality or we see this formal equality cannot be converted to perceived and real equality. Okay. So role of media in truth is very important. So role of media in publicity, Winter's report and media's partisan idea. That is also media is also biased. And when we talk about this political reporting is highly subjective. So it is opinionated reporting. It is also the same that makes you provide analysis. Okay. So hence it is also said that not, it is not everyone's cup of tea. Basically, senior person is allowed to get politically important. But nowadays you see that your senior, one of the senior YouTuber, he is a political analyst, I guess. YouTuber is there, YouTuber Meta, from Abhishek Kapra's batch. He is a political analyst. So I don't have much information about his job portfolio, but you find out. Okay. So in that way, if you were interested, definitely you can actually make excel in your field. Okay. So when you talk about the resolution, so what you want me to discuss now? If you have any questions, you can. Because there are so many things I could discuss, but yeah. Any question? No? Okay. So I will really discuss about this resolution. So, Mandal Commission report. No? And most of the time, when we say, that caste and class varieties, that these two concepts are very, very different, right? So when we say caste is basically on the basis of basic caste, difference between caste and class.
And caste, like there are divisions of caste. Caste can be upper class, lower class, middle class. But caste you get legalized because of caste constitution, like because of you belong to a separate caste, it has been recognized by the constitution. There are various castes in India, but classes are different.
Something like definition.
Class is associated with the economic power, and caste is associated with what we do, like our actual.
Caste.
Yeah, if we
Caste is
respect
economic
this-
division. And caste is limited, classes is right.
social
Social equalization.
and the class is economic.
When we talk about the caste is basically, yeah, right. You're right, caste is insert
Caste is social division.
stratification, right? Yeah, social, yeah. And one is, that is the thing. So one is social division, one is economic, basically social stratification. Caste is social stratification. But nowadays we have actually uh, uh, we have lost that groundings of caste now. Social stratification, because after industrialization, that stratification has been changed. Right. Social stratification based on work. Social stratification based on his work, but when you talk about the class, it is actually based on status. As I've already told you, it is based on consciousness. It's based on one's association to mode of production. Okay. But if you see, caste is really a perception and social stratification based on work based on income. So economy is also one part that is also attached to caste at the same time. But you see, it has got huge transformation. When you discuss about the caste, there is the same dynamics of the caste. It has transformed again. So we cannot even simply stratify caste on the basis of their work, on the basis of income, because work has been changed. Right. The work culture has been changed. Work there, means of livelihood has been changed. So earlier mentioned means of livelihood was different. Now even everybody we also talk about this speed evasion, that is an upward mobility, and we also see this Sanskritization. That is a very important concept.
And I have a question.
Yeah.
When can a low caste person be a high class citizen? And can a low class citizen be a high caste?
You were saying that can a low class person?
Be a high class citizen? Yes.
Yeah, why not?
And what will the society accept it like?
So that the thing is that let me tell you, it's very tricky. These things are very tricky. So you see that it is all about how society look at it. We talk about certain things like equality, right? Again, the thing is that I think it's very important to understand equality. Equality of treatment, equality of status, equality of income. Okay, caste actually came in, or caste came in because there is no equality in income, equality in status, equality in treatment, right? So when we actually see society like repeatedly characterize and stratifies even based on the nature of work which are to be pursued by existing groups. So some groups are being conformed to certain people. or then it is hierarchically decided. Okay? So some people are meant for study, some people are meant to do, some people are meant to carry out the business, and some people are meant to actually move the society like that way. So, or clean the society like that way. So you see, the thing is that here we actually see that historically uh, historical determination of the nature of work. But Marx did not mention about the caste. Marx did not mention about the caste. Marx simply said that that is also mode of production which has been historically changed and determined, and a class attachment to mode of production is historically determined. But when you talk about the caste, no, caste is something which is actually socially decided. But you see, time has changed, society has also changed. We talk about industrialization, now we have also reached information age. So the kind of job which are very difficult to one particular caste has been changed. Okay, with the growth of populations, because of even some of this affirmative action taken by state, some of the policies like reservation is also one policy, can to certain extent tend to abrogate the casteism or casteist nature of the society. So when you are talking about this can be lower caste, be higher, it's all in a perception nowadays, right? So as there are like I have encountered a point of view is that one person that he told me that you will also, this is very ridiculous. Somebody told me that blind people can't work, they're not meant to work much. But I have to say that there are also, on what basis you have actually said that, on the basis of primordial identities, right? So, how can you justify it? You said they cannot work, but at the same time, you also say that once upon a time, they, not even now also, you see the person, you do it, you invite him for a whole day, like a whole day, he won't have anything, he won't eat anything. And then he will chant mantras after mantras. So we don't have that much of resilience even. Okay, we said Kshatriya. Kshatriya is very strong. Even if Bhikshu can also like bite and he will never like he or she will never get. On what basis you were saying? Even in, now you see, if I'm not a person who believe more in astrology, but you see when you actually take part, some there is a calculation will actually give calculation will make whether you belong to one particular task or that. There is some burner has been attached. Some like some kotra has been also attached. That is by virtue of your birth or date. That is also one thing. So it is all in perception. So a lower caste people, now you see there is also one thing that many a time we talk about economic cutoff, financial cutoff, in order to establish equality. Because reservation is not required, because now we see that there is no low caste, higher caste. This is what people usually say. There is no lower caste and higher caste perception really, and everybody is equal now, so we need to think about applicating the reservation. It is said. Now again, uh, this is an issue whether we have able to eradicate this kind of mentality among the people that these people is from the very low caste. This is a mentality which is always there. Okay, so this is all in a perception. Okay, so you also see that two person, one is Brahmin, another is Kudra, Hangi, or maybe you see there's a full community people. Okay, both are economically poor. There will not be any kind of social apathy or family apathy among the Brahmin families or for Brahmin group or for that student, and he will not even be giving any kind of restriction in terms of studies. But you get to see any kind of social apathy which is prevalent, all kind of social apathy prevalent among the low caste in terms of studying, in terms of education. It's still there. So if like a discipline caste, most of the time, like in certain areas, are still living in the outskirts. In UP, you get to see scheduled caste people are still living in the outskirts. And in Rajasthan and in UP, you also see it is said that people are recruited on the basis of even married, but it is also said that marriage is increased by meritocracy by way of reservation. But is it really so? At the same time, in Tamil Nadu and Andhra Pradesh, we get to see 68% and 71% reservation. So far beyond what Conduct Commission has recommended. So these are some of the statistical evidence. So it depends upon like the policy of the state government, how far and to what extent they have implemented reservation. So whether they have implemented reservation in line with conduct recommendation or they have exceeded it or not. Or if they have exceeded it, they have to make it in line with 50% within 2 years or 3 years, like that way. So when you are talking about equal privilege, a Brahmin boy will get all the family support, all the society support in terms of education, but the Chudrama may not get that family support and society support. Because right from the very childhood, you will be taught to even go work and they will earn something for the family. So that is also one thing. And because education is a secondary uh, concept for them. So it is a secondary, it is not even a priority for Sudra. So you see, that is one reality. So when you talk about whether a lower caste can be higher caste, so this is all in this perception and mentality. You can still pursue those and get yourself elevated in this society. Nowadays society is post-modern, no? So go to Delhi, you will learn this also. We usually see on the basis of primordial identities, we should not even identify anyone. There are also people who uh, there are people who try to justify talent on the basis of primordial identities. And there are also people saying that efficiency will be impaired. Efficiency will be impaired if reservation will be extended on promotional basis. Efficiency will be impaired if reservation is also extended or getting forward like that way. Efficiency will also be impaired. Many a time you say that a Brahmin person, which is or a general person, recruited on the basis of merit will perform better than an SC person recruited on a reservation basis. But there is no statistical evidence, no expert suggestions, nothing. And this is not claimed by me. This is written even. Okay, there is no statistical evidence that a person, Brahmin or not Brahmin, in general candidate will perform better which is recruited on a merit basis than a person which is a reserve category person who is recruited on a reserve post. So reservation is there. Reservation is there to establish equality in the society. Now you see there are different points against reservation. Why we need reservation after so many years? Because you also say reservation should be restricted to first generation only, right? I also support reservation should be restricted to first generation, not to my children or children. Reservation should be restricted to first generation. And one more thing is that many times it is also said that when you talk about this resolutions, same time reservation is policy, even if it is said that it is implemented, only 11%, I mean, we see this probably 70% seat is reserved for the SC, only 4% is being implemented, 4% vacancy is being fulfilled, 11% seat is not being fulfilled, 70% seat is there, right? 4% is fulfilled, 11% is not fulfilled. There are some of the aberration I'll tell you. Suppose interview is being held, interview letter will, an appointment letter or interview, call for interview will come after the date has passed. Okay, roster system is not maintained. It is not mentioned that the post is reserved, it is mentioned that post is for ST and SC. And other age relaxation, time relaxation is not even mentioned properly. These are some of the aberrations in the policy. Now it is there, that's what we need to change. Okay, irrespective of Brahmin, Kshatriya, whatever. So according to me, we don't need to think about this primordial identities. If you are thinking about it, you are going back to middle. medieval and this like that prehistoric age. So everyone around here. Sorry?
কনফিউশন এটা আছে
Well,
ইয়াত কাষ্টৰ কথা নামত ক্ষুদ্ৰ বৈশ্যৰ কথা কোৱা হৈছে এক্সপিৰিয়েঞ্চ কথা কাৰণ দুটা যদি আমি চাব যাওঁ দুটা বস্তু কাষ্টৰ লগত যদি মিলাই চাব দুটা বস্তু বেলেগ বেলেগ কাৰণ এক্সপিৰিয়েঞ্চ বস্তু বেলেগ হিচাপত দিয়া হয় আৰু ক্ষুদ্ৰ বৈশ্যটো মানে এইটো আমাৰ কাষ্টৰ ফালৰ পৰা চিলাই দিছে এতিয়া কাষ্ট কোনটো কাষ্টৰ
কোনটো caste বুলি ইয়াতে কথা নাই. When we are talking about the caste itself is a social stratification based on work. So it has been there in the society. So each society you see, first you see each society has been stratified based on some of the parameters. So Greek society was also classified like that way. But in Greek society you see citizens are there, citizen class is also there, military class is there. Apart from slave class is also there. Slave can own property, but slave cannot even participate in political discussion. But should we actually be encouraged to take such kind of classification nowadays, or encourage this kind of classification, or we can promote this kind of classification? That is one thing. When we are talking about the caste, caste is one only. There is one caste and the class. There is see, caste concept is one concept. When we talk about SC, ST is civil tribe, SC is civil caste. Okay, civil caste, that concept is there, that is based on that caste only. Okay, OBC, other backward class is there, and other backward caste is also there. Okay, so many a times, so there are report like this what Malakar commission's report, Malakar commission's report have come up at different periods of time to ensure reservations and to establish equality. So when you talk about this division of the society was there earlier. That the society which are born in rich world are privileged enough like that way. But nowadays we don't look into those like modern identities. Nowadays these are not important for us because everybody is struggling. Brahmin guy is equally struggling with like the SC guy. And even see there is intercaste marriages. Many of my Brahmin friends they got married to like SC community. They don't even think and even see the OBC people who still indicate someone is a Sikh, is a SC girl or super girl. I have seen that. But yeah, there are Brahmin community, they are happy to marry with so there are intercaste marriage, religious marriage possible nowadays. So possible no, it has been happening. So hence we no longer think in primordial life. Okay, so when you talk about the SC, ST, caste eta is a social stratification of the society. But typically class or what class to a better class is on the basis of your standard, status, on the basis of your relation to means of production. Means of production. It means that's again your job, how you are producing. If you are holding land, okay, there are some class who can never sell except labor, right? So when you talk about right to equality, you think about protecting those class who cannot give society anything except labor, right? Okay, in order to create equality. At the same time, we talk about this minimum wage. We talk about these are some of these that legal provision to establish equality. And caste and class will automatically come in. Basically to even uplift one backward class and to make them at par with higher caste. And hence Ambedkar talked about reservation. Reservation is a separatist policy. Ambedkar spoke about the reservation, importance of reservation. Sorry?
One way, president belongs to one of the policies and the government system. Then it will get able to whether it is some from SCS to
But it is not very difficult to strike out.
also there is only that just because it is reservation
only 10% people belong to these categories are not being competitive or developing. There are few
There
cases.
are many ills of reservation. Let me tell you, there are many ills of reservation. So here, when you talk about the reservation, let me tell you. So there are many ills of reservation. We all know when you talk about this reservation on the basis of like caste and class, we can also see on what basis we look at reservation, right? First, we see, are we talking about the Monroe Commission reservation policy? So there are some indicators. So those indicators are defective on the basis of like economic criteria in defining a class, on the basis of social criteria in defining a class, on the basis of even now it will not associate one with your name, okay? So on the basis of economic criteria, social criteria, there are some like the criteria we have decided in order to define a class backward. Those criteria are defective at times. And when you talk about the reservation, let me tell you, there is actually no point of reservation after 10 years of implementation of reservation. This is also true. Had the had the goal of reservation has been let me fulfilled. That is one thing. Okay. And one more thing is also there. We talked about this president, but do you really think that now this Bagaya community, the tea garden community, don't need any kind of reservation?
Of course, they need resolution. That is the point. That is the root. In the urban places, people don't do resolution because they are getting resources.
Right.
But in rural places, where it is most needed, there they don't even like, get even 1% of the rights of the resolution. What they resolve.
On the basis of argument and you can also see that reservation. And but at the same time, it is also true that when you look at these indicators, uh, one of the indicators, economic indicators is there. Economic indicators that on the basis of the family and such, you can actually identify a person or identify caste, whether it's backward or not, and on the basis of availability of uh, water, if it is water for that whole community is half kilometer distance, then that class will not be backward. That is another criteria. You see. And also one class is taking loan. So that is also some percentage, 12% above stated price is not be backward. So these criteria are being set, but it is not implemented. So reliable impact is also there. We can discuss about it later. So because in the next class, I can also take a class tomorrow if you are interested. Because anyhow, I missed many classes. I had to miss because of my problem. So I continue with this whatever I have discussed. Because today I put focus half of it. When you talk about the resolutions, you study. Okay, today you study, tomorrow you have to tomorrow you discuss about the resolution. This is very important issue. So you can have your own interpretation because everybody has their own interpretation. It is a debatable issue. Reservation is a debatable issue. Okay, and it has also created a lot of turmoil, hesitations everywhere. People then like immolated themselves on the basis of reservations. And it is also true that when there is reservation, we are talking about 25 reservation for OBC, 70% for SC, 7.5% for ST. Then there is a reservation for ex-servicemen, reservation for handicap, reservation for disabled person. It will actually totality of reservation will lead to 59%. Then how many seats will be left for the general candidate? You see, that is also one thing.
What about our university?
No?
Like our university, apart from admissions,
Yeah.
so university gives scholarships on the basis of the category, that is the OBC, SC, and ST. And of course, there are some places that are based on
Yeah. That is where in university level, these are some of the affirmative action. Affirmative action can be created by these government in order to establish equality in the society. Now, when you talk about this equality, we talk about the reservation. One is protective discrimination reservation policy. Now we see that it is not a very stringently should be discussed nowadays reservation. Okay, and it is actually resting at a procedural level. Let me tell you, reservation is there, so you cannot even discard the merit of that person on the basis of the reservation is retreated on the basis of that reserve quota or on grounds of reservation. So he is not meritorious, no. But once there was a claim made by even general candidate that meritocracy will be replaced by mediocrity. And even now it is said that replaced by mediocrity. But at the same time, reservation is there at the entrance. Reservation there in entry to educational institution. Reservation is not there in terms of even passing this exam. Okay, that is one thing. So no linear or no like
There are resources in the case of, for example, this scholarship. That is a resource. There is this place, that is a resource. And there are these competitive or like fear restrictions. And this based on all the resources.
yeah, these are all affirmative action. Now you see affirmative action like that is intensive and possible facilities and not facilities that scholarship facilities. These are all affirmative actions. Economic cutoff is there, individual cutoff and class basis cutoff is also there. These are also some of the parameters. Okay, your protective discrimination is again there. Because 2% attempting for a test or exam, competitive exam. So one economically worse will be preferred than the one who is affluent. That is also there as a part of reservation. So look at yourself. So when we talk about the reservation, not simply on the line of caste. Okay, so reservation is equally like applicable on the line of caste, and there are also different parameters. Okay, so that can be discussed. So today you read the model classes. Okay, so tomorrow or day after tomorrow we discuss about it. And I thought about discussing this this right to equality. And reservation is a part of right to equality in order to make formal equality to a real equality or perceived equality. If we do. Okay. Anything else? And I know that people will have different technical questions, so you study about it and in the next class we'll discuss about it. So all of you study. So that you can actually participate in that discussion and ask some questions which are relevant, which are to the point. Okay? Anything else?